Hi guys, welcome back, and if it's your first time, hello. My name is John Callis, 23-year veteran of the profession of occupational therapy. I love the moving and handling, do a bit of seating as well. I keep my hand in practice working as a locum, so just like you, I take referrals from senior practice and service managers on moving, handling, seating, works of adaptation, you name it, I do it. But I spent 22 years of my life making mistakes, learning lessons, and becoming as expert as I can in the field of moving and handling and passing that knowledge on to you. So if you want to have a training designed by a practicing experienced occupational therapist, then please pop along to our webpage. There I am there, at the conference, that's possibly OT show. And there I am, hello, just talking about the course. You can contact us directly by filling out that form, a basic summary of what courses we offer. I update this regularly. We had someone contact us and say, you haven't updated since 2022. Oh dear, you sausage. That's the copyright. So, a little mention of OT today, great magazine, free to you to register for, and it's got some great content there. Please support it. It's a great publication. I'm hoping to get some more content in that myself. So, bed management systems, my three favourites. But what does a bed management system do? Well, essentially, it's a slide sheet you can sleep on. Because at the lowest level, if you're having difficulty fitting a slide sheet to somebody, by having them already sleeping on it, it aids you in turning them and then changing that sheet, because you can use the sheet to put a fresh one under. So that's the first thing you can do. It creates friction. When you're using this, same as a slide sheet, that's if you guys know how to use a slide sheet properly, but when you're fitting any slide sheet or bed management system, you have to make sure that the bony prominences are covered. So your shoulder blades and your hips, and if they're plus size, the mass radiates out from that area. So if you haven't got the bed management system under the shoulders, but it's under the hips, you're not going to turn them or move them because the bony prominences will anchor in. You can have different length top sheets, 3/4, full length. Oftentimes people like their heels on the satin, so they'll have a 3/4. It's quite cooling and often doesn't exacerbate any sore problems. And also, if you need biomechanical support, you need more effort put into a turn, because quite often the big issue people have is turning people on this side to personal care. The vast majority of my clients that operate single-handed care, they're not formal carers, they're informal carers that change their clients overnight, their loved ones overnight. So they're not sitting in soiled pads until the carer comes in at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, whenever that is. So I show quite elderly people how to use bed management systems with a gantry hoist or a ceiling track hoist to turn someone on their side, turn a loved one on their side to personal care. It's effortless, it's really easy. They're great bits of kit. But again, if it's not quality, if it's not made, if the consistency of the material isn't right, it's not going to help you turn somebody. It's going to stretch too much. It's going to ruck up when you're trying to fit a sling. And what happens then is if you're trying to convince a carer, Janet's going in, she's been going in with Maureen on her calls for years now, and now you're telling her, well, you have to go on your own, we've got single-handed care, and you get a bed management system that doesn't work, you're going to have a job buying them back in, convincing them this is going to work. So let's start with the right stuff, because otherwise Janet's going to go back and say, this doesn't work, I need 2 carers. False economy. So let's have a look at my first offering, which is the Prism Medical Mackworth Essential Satin Sheets. Now I want to draw your attention to this young man here, Chris Hackett. It's a nice little video, shows you what to do, how to use it. As you can see there, he's just fitted it. I'm going to pause on this still with Sarah, and Sarah's got her shoes on. What are you doing, Sarah? But it just looks like a regular sheet system. There's the top sheet. He's tucked it in as a break, and it moves effortlessly. It looks really good. It moves effortlessly. It's the material doesn't just give up. There's a bit of bite in it, but not to the point where it's uncomfortable. So it's really useful for just pushing people, moving people around the bed. But it's got the handles on there as well, which you can use to attach to a hoist. Chris does refer to this as carers holding on to those straps to do that, but he also says a lot of them don't. Generally, I don't tell people to use those straps just because the vast majority of my carers, it kind of burns on the inside of their hands if they move it. They prefer to ruck up. But each their own. Let's have a look at this Mackworth system. Let's have a look in detail now. There's the handles that connect to the hoist. And the basic design, a top sheet with an underlay of satin-like material and a base sheet with a top layer of satin-like material, and it's 4 ways, up and down, left and right. And the thing about that is, if you're going to buy one set of satin sheets, one manufacturer, you might as well get 4-way. You may as well. Really, get a 4-way in. Save yourself a bit of money. Everyone knows what they're getting. But this bit of equipment here, it's an excellent bit of equipment. I own it. I use it on training. I use it as an example of excellence. The only drawback I have for this is that it's a fitted sheet. So unlike other bed management systems, I don't know who makes this, but rather than a fitted sheet like you have for your bed to go over the corners, a lot of them have elastic which holds it down, and that allows the air pipe for the airflow variator for the mattress to get through. With the fitted design, what you can find is sometimes it makes this variety ping off. But I've said to you, I've said Prism, cut a little hole in the middle, cut a little hole in the corner so you can feed the pipe through. Simple, bit of stitching, easily done. It's a great bit of kit. Come on. Now, this satin sheet system by Prism Medical, it comes in single and it comes in 3/4. On the video, Chris calls it bariatric, but it's 3/4 bed essentially. Now, that's important because someone's getting up to 180, 200 kilograms, which is the max load for this. They're not going to fit into a single bed. So you need to look at the 3/4 variety, and it's fantastic. It moves so easily. Check the video on the website that Chris does. It's really hard actually to do a video of a product like this. I've tried, because as the person, you know how to use it, but you need someone else that knows how to use it to be filming it, so you know they know what you want to get out of it. So Chris has done a bang up job. Please watch his video. It'll give you an idea of how that product works. Great done. Well done, Chris. So let's move on to another of my favourites. Let's get it. Oh, the ETAC Immediate Satin Sheet. Whenever I show people, because I own the Immediate Satin Sheet, I own all of these, I love them. I also own some ones that don't work as well to show kind of how different bed management systems are. But I own this one, and when I do a workshop, I'll often start with lower quality ones, then I'll go up to one of the 3 I'm going to show you. And if I go Mackworth, you guarantee an OT will say, oh, we use the ETAC. I love the ETAC. The ETAC's great. It's a great system. And then they try the Mackworth and they're like, that's really good too. I don't know. There's some really good stuff out there. Now, what I like about the Immediate sheet, now they do a 2-way and a 4-way separately. They've got some videos. They're very basic, just show you the difference of how a 2-way and a 4-way work differently. Just have a look, it explains it, makes it clear to you. But again, like the Mackworth, the material, it's made of good quality stuff. The stitching is really good. It doesn't just give in. Now, it's important it doesn't just give in, because if you're feeding it under somebody to remove it, if someone's plus size, if the material's too flimsy, it'll go up to the folds. It'll go up the folds in the skin and the mask, and you can lose it. Also, if you're connecting it to a hoist to turn someone on their side, if it's too flimsy, it'll stretch, which means you don't get a really good turn, and it stretches over time. And also, if it's not made well, you won't get as many washes out of it. So as a loan store, you're having to replace them more often, because Mrs. Cannybody's going, my satin's bobbled. John, my satin's bobbling. I'm not having this bobbling. And you're like, oh, you might have saved a couple of quid, be it paying more on replacements. This is where the Mackworth and the Immediate are really strong. Functionally, they're great. So if Janet's going in on her own now to turn Maureen on her side, but her usual pal isn't there, she needs single-handed care, like the Mackworth and the ETAC, you're going to have a bed management system that's genuinely going to be able to turn the client on their side, because it's made of good stuff. Now, on the ETAC system here, let's go to satin sheet products. They have, let's look at this page, they're exhibiting the strap there. Now, I wonder if I can make that bigger. Yes, I can. A little bit bigger. I'm just going to state, right, so, there. Now, let's have a look at this one. This one's more acute. So this, I'm not sure if you can tell, but this strapping on this one's more acute than what we've got here. So the strapping on this is like here and here, which means you're more likely to ping off. Having them at more kind of 45 degrees means they're more robust, less likely to ping off. However, ETAC also do a fitted sheet variety. They also do it single and 3/4, and it's a maximum working load of 200 kilograms. And from experience, I can tell you it works really well, moving people up and down the bed on their side, you know, as a conventional sleep-on slide sheet, or as something to turn someone on their side, personal care, and fitting the slings, for example. It's just a great, just a really good bit of equipment, and I highly recommend it as another one. If you're a loan store thinking, we need to buy a load of these now, which one should we try? Then Mackworth and Immediate are the two you need to try, definitely. Let's go on to 3. The Superfine by Liz Clare. Again, I own this. I love it. It's a game changer. And I'm going to tell you why it's a game changer now. Like the Mackworth, like the Immediate, it's made really well. The material isn't going to give up on you. It won't let you down. It's got a bit of fight. So when you're moving someone up and down the bed, you're not going to lose it all up in the mass. It's not going to stretch too much, meaning that by the time you're at one end of the bed, it just starts to move. It's comfortable too, feels really nice for the client. Works really well turning someone on the side because it doesn't stretch too much. So you get a nice true turn. Also, other companies take note. This is the base sheet for the Superfine. This is the corner. It's a fitted sheet, right? Oh no, what about the hose for our air thingy bob for our mattress? Well, it's got a slit in there. We're like stitching round it so it doesn't tear. I know, right? Absolutely brilliant. And another thing, the Superfine, it goes single, it goes 3/4, but it has a maximum load of 3 of His Majesty's kilograms. So why is that important? Well, for 300 kilograms, once you get over 200 kilograms, you're looking at different systems. And I've used these other systems. There's Prism Medicals there, and there's ETACs. Oh, right here, I think that's going to be a video, which I don't want a video because that's going to be bad. Let's just have a look at that. But ETAC make a similar one. You've got a base sheet, rubber, quilted material, sliding on one side, not on the other. And I own these. I own the ETAC one, I own the Prism one. They work, I've had them work. When they're not so great is if you have somebody, once you start to get over a certain weight, you have lots of complications, organ failure, incontinence. Somebody being able to keep a catheter in when they have an apron, that's it's quite common. So what happens is often catheters come out and somebody urinates over that sheet, and what happens with the urine, it gets soaked into thick material. What happens then? The people you've given that to as a solution, and it does work, it'll turn someone on their side. The person you've given that to as a solution now is having a nightmare removing it to change it to replace it. And remember the thing I talk about sales. The carers are like, this is actually making our job harder, not easier. So this is where the Superfine comes in. It has the satin sheet approach. It's very thin. It won't soak up loads of urine because it can't. It doesn't hold as much heat as the quilted varieties that are for 200 kilogram plus, because it's just like a regular satin sheet system. So also you can do things like fit slings with it, turn with it, all the same things you could do with the 200 kilogram versions. You can do with this version. I use it in my workshops to show an example. I also use these, you know, they have their place. I own one. If you've got one, you haven't got that continence problem, I recommend you try it. I recommend you try it. Have a go first. The brakes on these can be a bit tricky, pulling that back. Depends on the shelf of your client. If they've got a large gluteal shelf, that can be a bit of a problem. So it might be then you go to the Superfine. But knowing the Superfine exists is a game changer. Knowing the Immediate exists and the Mackworth exists, they're game changers. Because when you try them against something else that you might have, and you try these, you'll realise just how much better these products are. And that's the point, they have to be functional. We're not going to save money by buying stuff, cheap crap. We have to have our procurement equation with value balanced right. So quality has to be part of that, not just driven by cost. And that's what this does, not just driven by cost. So I hope you found that helpful. If you did, please click like and subscribe, because then what happens is the more of you view it, like it, it does like an algorithm thing. So occupational therapists and carers and stuff, it'll pop up on the YouTube feed. So that'd be really canny if you could do that. Now, big announcement coming up soon on my social media. So keep an eye on my LinkedIn, keep an eye on my Facebook, keep an eye on my X, because we've got some big training news coming up for the rest of this year. It's going to blow your minds. Watch this space, guys. Thank you very much for stopping by. This has been the Athena Handling Project. Happy handling, and you enjoy those bed management systems. Bye, guys.